First moved into this house in 2007, and before I built the conservatory and actually moved all the furniture in, I'd made starts on the garden pond. Thanks to the patience and assistance from my dad at a tender age of 67, we dug the footings out, and then while I was working on the house, he managed to lay the concrete and build the wall of the shell of the pond. We didn't have a bottom drain, we didn't have a skimmer, we just had some baskets in there for the vegetation as such, and I had a multi-bay filter at the back from 5 Acre Koi in Chesterfield. As you can see from the photos, it sufficed, it did its bit. I had a couple of fish in there, the water was clear, and the plants grew, and so did the koi. Occasionally I had a few issues with the water greening over as such, because I didn't fully understand the UVs, and I was buying the cheap Japanese ones and it didn't work right. But I then stepped back and spent a lot of time talking to Andy Harrison, and he gave me some expert advice, some great tips, and over the years I learnt a lot, and slowly but surely, with the knowledge and the help of a few photos and the internet, I managed to decide how I wanted to upgrade the pond. It just so happened at the same time that the wall was beginning to crack, and I was getting a few issues with the water parameters, possibly because I was overstocking or whatever. But as you can see, through the summer it looked okay, it did its bit, it gave me a steady stepping stone to learn and enjoy the hobby of koi keeping. And so the work started. First thing was to obviously drain the pond, take the liner out and the underlay, and then bit by bit, using a Makita hammer drill, just knock all the walls down. The pond was surrounded by conifers on one side and the shed on the other, and I needed to try and open it up and give a bit of light. So once we cleared all the rubble out and the brickwork out, we had a new canvas. So I decided to cut all the trees down the side, to open up an extra 3 foot down the right hand side, and then expose the bottom drain and dig a bit deeper to give me a bit more capacity. I then spent a couple of more days just tidying up the base and trying to extend the size before the sand, cement and blocks arrived. The only professional help I got was from a brickie who came for 2-3 days to lay the concrete and build the brickwork up. Although I got plans and ideas of what I wanted it to look like, it wasn't set in stone, and it did change a few times. The obvious thing that I'd missed out with on the last pond was the strength of the walls, so all the blocks were laid flat, 9-inch wide in depth, and then we added a bit extra concrete around the outside, a couple of inches, just to give it a bit more support on the front walls and side walls. One of my other ideas was to make sure the pond would hold the heat in the winter, and that was so the plan was to insulate it. Got some 25mm king span on the sides and some 50mm king span on the bottom. Taped it all up and then measured up ready for the box weld liner. Once the box weld liner had arrived, I got the assistance from my beautiful wife, and she helped me lower it in and square it up, and it fitted like a glove. It was then time to do the bottom drain, cut and fit, and the main pond return. I also had a second pond return in the other corner, and then finally the skimmer. Then it was time to do the last few checks before the best part of the pond building, the filling. Started at about 4 o'clock on the Monday evening and let it continue through the night. And then I knocked it off at 4 AM on the Tuesday, so a good 12 hours to nearly fill it. Over the next week or so, I then managed to get the copings on and then make a start on the filter system. The rear of the pond, where the filter system is housed, is really open to the elements, and it gets a bit of a nightmare. Originally I had an easy pod, and you can see that it's open to the elements. Whenever I cleaned it out, I was getting wet through, the electrics was exposed at all times, so I thought I need to tidy this up, I need to clean it up and get it sorted once and for all. When I replaced the shed, I had to put a level base down, so what I did, I dug all the clay out and put a load of hardcore down, and then I built a block base for the shed to sit on. I thought I might be able to incorporate that with the bottom part of the filter house, So what I ended up doing was clearing out all the pavers, all the clay, and again laying more gravel down, joining it right up to the other bit, and using that as part of a soak away for the wastewater. To the bottom left corner you can see a drain that I put in there that led down to the soakaway, and at the top you can see the skimmer that comes up the other side of the base and then goes to the pond return. This will be later changed into another extra filter system. What I did then is concrete over all the gravel, just leaving the drain for all the water to run down. I also upgraded a bit of the filter system, and I had this illusion and dream of building a filter house. So I started with some plywood panels and some stud walls and built it around the outside of the fence and round up to the front of the pond. I'd got this vision of matching the front of the filter house with the shed, so I drew up some plans of some tongue and groove and some glass windows and took it to a local joiner who gladly made up two panels that fitted perfectly onto the top of the edge of the pond, and this gives the illusion of a continuous filter house. I then finished off the pond with some split rendering around the outside to give it a nice polished clean aesthetic look. And then it was just a matter of touching up the garden and working in the filter house. The filter house had the biggest transition and the most money spent at it. The Oase ProfiClear Premium Compact was probably by far the best filter system I've ever had. On the left hand side, the Oase drum filter has two inlets. I'm only using one at the moment, which is a 4-inch bottom drain that comes straight in and goes into the side of the unit. It has a 2-inch outlet that I've reduced down to 1.5 inches, and this sweeps round into the PondXpert 20,000 Variflow pump and then up and out through into the Evo 55 UV, and then continuing further along the filter house and through the Electro 3 kilowatt heater before going out the outside wall under 4-inch gravel, returning to the main pond return in the far corner. The skimmer originally did not have any filtration system on it and just returned via a waterfall back to the pond, but you can see there it comes up out the floor, and then I've got it routed through a PondXpert 20,000 SpinClean auto filter system. This then has a T in it, and it can either go up and out through a Bakki or down back to a low level pond return if the Bakki is not in use. I wasn't a big fan of Bakkis, to be honest, at first, but with having a high nitrate and no pond life or anything plants to take out the nitrate, I needed a method of reducing the nitrate. The Bakki sits there at the corner of the pond, and I think it fits in quite nicely now, and it's got some Bakki house media inside, and it's also got some alpha grog and pumice in there, so it seems to work tremendously well no matter what flow rate. And later on in the season, what I started to do is add some plant in there as well to grow into the side of the shower and make it look a bit green and natural. Once the setup was up and running, it allowed me more time to enjoy the hobby and to start doing a few YouTube videos. Over the last 12 months I've managed to cover quite a few topics, from the filters to the pumps to the bottom drain, even to treating the koi and some parasites and other treatments. There's also videos of the main koi pond with the fish underwater, and also some fry growing up through the year. Please have a look and check out some more videos, and if you enjoy the videos, please subscribe. Thanks a lot. Happy ponding.